Thanks very much. Can I invite Tony Lloyd, our Police Commissioner, to say a few words? Thanks very much, Tony.
Can I actually begin by giving my enormous thanks to those who've contributed to Carisma and everything it stands for over the years. My association with Moss Side actually goes back rather a long time, and I grew up in the Old Trafford Moss Side area in any case, but importantly, I suppose, I became the Member of Parliament in 1983 for the Moss Side area. And Debbie, I seem close your ears to this one. At that time, policing was dreadful. There's no doubt. Policing in the communities across South Manchester was much more like an army of occupation than a community police force. And the police at the time thought they could do everything. And in fact, what we then saw was that things got progressively more and more problematic. There was probably another stage of policing, actually, which was every bit as bad, when the police gave up and said they could do nothing because everything was a deep-rooted social problem, and all the police could do was move the symptoms around. In fact, what we've now got is exactly the right model of policing, not simply, by the way, for Moss Side, but for Greater Manchester and for this country of ours. And the model that you've heard about of partnership working that we've seen so effectively bearing down on the most difficult forms of crime in the South Manchester community, but actually as well on crime in general, because it's also a fact that despite the ridiculous headlines that we read in national newspapers, Moss Side is far from being the worst, most crime-ridden part of the city of Manchester. It's just not true. There are much more problematic areas, I've got to say, ones that I also represented in Parliament, so I don't say that with any great pride, but a recognition that Moss Side as a community has seen enormous transformation. And in the end, yes, I mean, I've been to all those meetings, remember, with the birds. I've spent many hours of my life at many different community meetings, and if I'd only known how to typecast people at the time, at least it would have given me more enjoyment in them. but nevertheless, the real change has been actually a recognition that as human beings, people who work for the police, people who work within the community, people who work for other agencies, people who are simply citizens on the ground, actually young people who do nothing wrong other than being young, are all in this actually, and all have this overworked phrase, we're all in this together. Actually, in that community, we are all in this together, because it only works because we're there for each other, sharing a common view about what it is we're trying to achieve, and that human cement is what's overlaid an awful lot of what you've heard today. Another point about the human cement, though, it's actually because it's human cement that was driven by values. And it's the fact that there are deep and abiding values about what a decent Moss Side ought to be, what a decent Manchester ought to be, what a decent world ought to be, that we didn't have to invent. We inherited them very often from the cultures that we all come from. But that's what we have so much in common. And actually, despite the problems that Moss Side still has, there are economic issues that are still there, there are problems of underachievement in the education system, many issues that still have to be resolved. We've got a foundation now that is much stronger, and that's due to the work of people in this room and people who will continue to work together. So actually, what I'm doing, I'm not really giving the vote of thanks at this stage, but I am giving my personal thanks for those who've worked the transformation, because it really has made what is a beautiful community one that's now a livable community, and that's a prize that's worth having.